Fasting. Fasting is a topic that's gaining lots of interest and is definitely growing in popularity. Indeed, respected scientific bodies like the CSIRO in Australia are launching intermittent fasting diets for weight loss, so it definitely is becoming more mainstream. To me, the theory makes sense. Humans evolved in harsh environments. There's no way we would have had 3 meals a day ready to go. We may have had 1 and at absolute best, maybe 2. So humans evolved to not eat for prolonged periods. Not only did we evolve to survive fasting, it is possibly very good for us. Whilst it is way too early to be making clear recommendations or guidelines on this, it's still really interesting stuff. There's indeed a large body of research to support the health benefits of fasting, though most of it has been conducted on animals and a small amount on humans. Still, the results are looking very promising. Some of the known benefits so far include weight loss, obviously relevant to this series, improving your blood sugars and insulin sensitivity, improved risk factors for heart disease, reduced oxidative stress, which is a good thing, and reduced inflammation, and preservation of our learning and memory function. Fasting does not have to be done with nothing either. It could mean water only for a period, it could mean having a very small amount of food, or it could mean eating only in certain time periods. So there is quite a lot of flexibility, but let's go through some of the common terms you might hear when doing a bit of research on this. There is intermittent fasting or alternate fasting, which is when we might fast for a day, then eat normally the next day. One variation of this is called the 5-2 diet and has been popularised by Dr. Michael Mosley in the UK. It means you eat well, but normally on 5 days of the week, and very little, less than 500 calories for the other 2. So your net weekly amount is still less and you lose weight. This is actually a really easy way to lose weight and quite a reasonable place to start if you're thinking of trying out fasting. Then there's the fasting mimicking diet, or FMD, where you vary your intake over 5 days. So on day 1 you eat 50% or half as many calories as you would normally eat, and on day 2 to 5, so 4 more days, you eat 1/3 of your usual calorie intake. So you have to measure that up and calculate it roughly. You generally do that once a month, but there are other ways around that. And finally, there's what's called time-restricted fasting, where you eat only in a certain number of hours in a day, perhaps a 4-hour window or an 8-hour window, say between 8 in the morning and 4 in the afternoon, or 12 at midday to 4 in the afternoon. For weight loss specifically, there are a few things to consider. The first is convenience. When you're fasting, say 2 days a week, it means that the whole week you're taking in less calories. So for some this is really convenient. It means you only have to think about prepping food for 5 days a week, and on 2 days you can eat very little, and that can be obviously quite a bit cheaper. The second is how you respond to it. For some, the hunger they will feel on those fasting days may drive them to binge eat, and that is obviously not a good thing. So it depends on how you respond to that fasting. Some people feel quite satisfied and it's not a problem. The third is its effectiveness. For the CSIRO Flexi fasting program, it showed that participants in the 16 weeks, it's a roughly 4-month trial, lost on average 11 kilos or 24 pounds, and saw improvements in their cholesterol, insulin, glucose and blood pressure. Some studies indicate that there is no difference between fasting and just overall reducing your calories. So again, you don't have to do this. It's really just what works for you, and I have known some people this really works beautifully well. One thing I have seen is a few people fast really easily. When they do, they start to eat again, they put on lots of weight. And that's obviously not a good thing, that's what we want to avoid. The theory behind this is that their body has now been flicked into famine mode, meaning it will reserve energy when there is none coming in, like when they're fasting, but when they eat again, it'll store everything as fat in case there is another famine or fast in the future, so it puts it into a fear mode. In these patients, I sometimes recommend the complete opposite of fasting, which is small and regular healthy meals. So not engorging yourself, just small and regular healthy meals to take the body out of this stress and fear and famine mode, so it feels safe to lose the weight and stop storing it. But this is just my experience, and I can't say I've seen this based on any studies, though it may be, I just couldn't find them. As always, there are a few safety considerations here. One is that you have to be careful you get enough vitamins and minerals for your health, and sometimes you might want to consider a multivitamin supplement and a fibre supplement. This is the same perhaps with the ketogenic diet or the meal replacements. When you're starting out, start slow and go gently. Don't do prolonged periods of fasting to start with. Be careful, some people get a little bit lightheaded when they fast, so be careful when driving and operating heavy machinery. If you have diabetes or any other medical conditions, you absolutely must see your doctor first. In fact, I recommend anyone who wants to try fasting should do it under a qualified health professional.